the first one on deck for this playlist is Uhura, which is weird because I didn't really expect to see Uhura on the crew. Because if you go back to the Cage, like some of these early TOS characters are nowhere to be found. So it was kind of weird to see her on deck here.
Okay, so obviously the Cage was a very white male episode. And I believe this is, if I were to guess, I haven't heard anything that says this yet, but what I'm thinking this probably is Pike's second 5-year mission. The first one was, when he was sent away during the Klingon War. And then this one will be like a second 5-year mission, so we can kind of bring in some characters, and we can cast it like a modern show, so there are some non-white, possibly non-male characters in here to diversify the crew of the Enterprise a little bit.
No, I don't have an issue with that. It just struck me as weird seeing, at least in here she's Cadet Uhura, so it's not like, she's a full...
lieutenant yet.
Yeah, like she was in TOS. Yeah, and I think it still remains to be seen whether this show is going to take up the story from when Discovery left time, or if we're going to see something different. So it will be definitely interesting to see where exactly on this timeline Strange New World starts. I got a feeling it's going to be after Discovery left, therefore... I'm with you on the second 5-year mission theory. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, again, we're having to speculate quite a bit here, but that seems to be where they're fitting in, is like post the Cage, post Discovery. We already have a sense of who some of these characters are, but I think it's interesting that they are getting some Kirk era characters and putting them in here, especially since they're getting, like, in a lot of cases, background players.
Yeah, and we'll talk about some of those other characters shortly, but just from this short trailer, I do like her characterization so far. It was kind of funny when, Pike was like, oh, she speaks 12 languages, and Uhura was like, well, no, not really. It's 32 or 37 or whatever she says, but...
that's kind of a cool line, too, when they're like, hey, the universal translator's not kicking in, do something. She's like, that's not how linguistics work. Yeah, and we get some nice visuals of the show itself, which everything I've seen so far, I thought some of the visuals in Discovery were pretty good, but just from some of the trailers that I've seen of this show so far, it's going to be a visually stunning show, it looks like. Yeah, it's really going to be quite cinematic, it would appear. One of the things I did notice, and I think we'll see more of it as we go here with these, the bridge for the Enterprise is a different bridge than they used in Discovery, and it's a little bit smaller, and the elevators are a little more forward, it looks like, as well.
I think some of that is because, we talked about, I'm going forward in time here, but we talked about in a future episode how they kind of course corrected on a bunch of stuff as Discovery Season 2 went along. And I just know that because I started editing that episode today. But we did touch on that in an episode in the future here, whether that's this one or another one. This seems like a course correction because I remember at the time, or at least, when I first started looking into Discovery, people were saying, yo, man, what's up with the bridge of the Enterprise? That thing is huge compared to like what we see on TOS. And as I've said before, like, I'm not a huge stickler for details like that. I mean, the bridge looks like the bridge of the Enterprise. Yes, the scale is a little bit off because, they have lots of money now to do all these sets. So it's only fair. But I think you're right. The bridge does look a little smaller. And I think that might be because this is another one of those course corrections from Discovery.
Mm-hmm. Another thing I have to go into, of course, real quick is I believe we saw 2 variations of the uniform and 2 variations of the uniform pin. So the cadet pin is going to be different.
We actually saw 3 variations of it.
Oh, did we? Okay, I missed one somewhere in there.
Yeah, so the first one is the black collar with, it didn't appear that the repeating symbol was in the pattern anywhere. So the black collar with the solid colored shirt. And then we saw that similar uniform top that we saw in the Kirk reveal
where it was like the gold collar, or for command, gold collar, and then on the shoulders it had the repeating symbols there. And then we saw another one. It looked like Uhura, and I want to say number 1 wears this uniform too, and it may just be a female variation of it, but with the black stripes on the sides.
Yeah, where it looks more like a tunic, almost dress-shaped tunic over leggings.
Yeah, something like that. So yeah, I caught 3 different uniforms.
Okay, yeah. There's a lot to kind of pay attention to as we go through this, and all the edits are really fast, so I'm hoping we pick up on everything we can.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. I can tell already that Uhura is going to get quite a bit more characterization in this show than she did in the original series.
Yeah.
And I don't know how forward a character is, but I'm going to have to assume this is going to be an ensemble show, more like The Next Generation, rather than a lead and 2 backup characters like the original series.
Which I don't mind, because I did enjoy that about The Next Generation over the original series.
Yeah.